Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Brewery Underground Podcast. I'm Steve Sullivan, and I'm joined as always by the Chancellor of Craft Beer, Scott Turan. Scott, say hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello to you. Well, remember to always follow us at Sullivan Turan Brewery Adventures.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook and other social media platforms out there. But hey, man, today we got a really fun filled show where, of course, we're going to be talking about our recent brewery adventures during the holidays. Also, a conversation that came up as we were drinking beer lately, beer for breakfast. What do you think about that? And how about pizza for breakfast or maybe pizza anytime? But the question I always have is, Scott, what the heck do you put on that pizza? We're gonna go in depth a little bit on that. 2024 is knocking on a door, and we certainly got you covered with if you need a brewery plan, perhaps a recommendation on some beers. We have our top 10 list of favorite beers as we're going to close out 2023. But of course, we're going to be rolling along in 2024.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff planned, things we're working on. We didn't have a full 2023 in, doing this. We started pretty much about August, maybe September with the podcast, but we'll have a full year ahead of us for, content, and we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We have a lot of cool stuff coming though, too, I think.
Hey, we do. And I have to mention some breaking news that happened to me today. I upgraded my phone to an iPhone 14, and it was so exciting. And I have to tell you this real quick. So you had texted me this morning, and you said, "Hey, man, you've got this transformation down from your old phone to the new one." And I was like, "Yeah, I was able to get through it pretty easily." And it kind of harkened me back to the last time when I tried to do that on my own. They had the old SIM cards, and they don't do that anymore.
Yep.
Well, I actually had the SIM card at the time that I put in. I was following the instructions. For some reason, it wasn't going through. I had to take it to the store. This was my anxiety at first today because I was like, I don't want that to happen again. I had to go to the store, and they were able to get into it, and they said there was some setting issue. It wasn't my fault. Then they called, the phone company. It was Sprint at the time, and they tried to activate it. And they said, "Oh yeah, it'll be activated in like 20 minutes or so." So I left and I ran some errands. I come home, about 20 minutes has passed or later. About an hour has passed. My phone still isn't working. My old phone has been disabled at that point. So I'm like, what do I do? This is going back about a couple of years. And the only thing I could think of was to get online and go through the online chat, and they were able to fix me. But I was pretty happy today that the iPhone 14 has worked out well for me. The only funny thing though, I ventured out this afternoon to a couple of places. I needed to get a new holder, for my iPhone and a new case for it, I should say. So I go into this one place which will be remain nameless, and I go in and I see they have a bunch of different ones. They have iPhone 15, they have iPhone 13, they have a couple others. They don't have iPhone 14. So I asked the guy at the counter, I said, "Hey, man, do you have any iPhone 14 cases?" And he looks at me and he goes, "No, we won't be getting those in anymore." And I just kind of laughed and left. And
What?
fortunately,
You can get older ones, but you can't get the most recent one or one of the most recent ones.
apparently not. So I was able to get that rectified early this afternoon, and I am good to go on
Good.
that now. So
Hey, what did it
the
entail when you did change over today? When you moved from one phone to the other, what did it entail? Did it just do it wirelessly?
yeah, yeah,
Just put like side by side or something?
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they,
You
they
just
make it
do.
pretty easy now.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's a little technical thing, and then everything updates, and it was probably updated in just like an hour or so. So it actually turned out pretty well. But hey, before we
Nice.
begin our podcast today, as we continue on, we have to begin with the annual "What beer are we drinking?" Right?
Oh, I can't wait to get to this.
And this is where we open up a beer, we crack a beer during the beginning of the podcast, and then we're going to rate the beer at the end. So,
Okay, here's me
behind door
opening
number
mine.
one is, what is your beer?
All right, it's called Ghost Prime by Parish Brewing Company. A buddy of mine just gave me this like 2 days ago, so I've never had it before, and he swears it's good. It looks like it's going to be good. So here, this is me opening it.
Okay.
Okay. Got some all over the place, but okay, I'm ready to go now.
All right, behind door number two, I already opened up my beer. And I have to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm drinking because you gave me this beer a couple of days ago, but I don't know what it is. Is this is a beer that you actually made, right?
Yeah, we're gonna put. You're gonna rate it.
I am.
Oh boy, you put me
You
on the
didn't know
spot.
this.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know this. You get it
That's
nice and
right.
cold. You're like one of two people in the world that have one of those right now.
So what am I drinking?
It is a brown. I made a brown caramel English ale.
All right.
Yeah, I'll hold the name for another time because it might be more. It's called Chocolate Starfish Brown Ale. What do you
Not
think?
bad so far. Mm,
You should you should see the color of it. I know you got it in a brown bottle, but you should see the color. It's really dark.
it really is. Yeah. And I have come to like dark beer. So that is just okay by me. I can certainly handle it. All right,
I
man. Well,
I expect nothing less than a 4 rating on that later on, but
oh, at least, yeah. Maybe a -4. We'll see what
oh,
happens. All right, man. So we are recording this on December the 28th, a couple of days before New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And right now, there are some bowl games that are going to be taking place, and have been taking place. And I was looking at the schedule over the next couple of days. I don't know, any particular games stand out to you that you're hoping to watch?
considering I haven't watched many so far to date, the New Year's Day bowl games look like they're going to be fantastic, right? The playoffs. You've got I lost my list here. Let's see. On the first, we've got Iowa, Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. Um, I know Michigan, Alabama, and I keep losing my place on the website here. And then Texas, Washington. So those are the big ones for the championship games or for the playoff games. So I'm in a, little college bowl pool,
Yep.
and I took Michigan to win it all. If you can believe
Okay.
that. I don't know. They seem like they're going to be hard to beat this season, but if anybody can do it, it's Alabama.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, though. I'm really looking forward to seeing the Michigan Alabama game, and I'm also interested to see to watch the Ohio State Missouri game to see who wins there, because I got to tell you, as we know, the Ohio State University fan base, those Buckeye fans, they are pretty passionate. And if they don't win, I don't know. Old Ryan Day, he might be looking over his shoulder a little bit.
Yeah, that's not beating Michigan in what, 3 tries now. The last 3 tries.
Yep.
It doesn't help
Yep.
his case. That's kind of all they care about is to beat Michigan, and vice versa. So
That
they do need a win. I agree with you, and if not, they'll be calling for us. I think they're calling for his head anyway. But
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll see what happens. Hey, let's move on because we are, after all, a podcast where we talk about beer, we talk about our brewery adventures, and we've had some brewery adventures over the last couple of weeks. Um, After Thanksgiving and around Christmas, we had some brewery adventures. I know that about a week or so before Christmas, we got together with our friends from Dark Shadows and we went out and had a few beers with them.
we absolutely did, and it was something we had talked about doing with them after the podcast, and we've stayed in touch. And we came up with a date. We was like, hey, can everybody do this? And we did. We got to go hang out with those guys. It was Keith and Rachel, great people. And we went to Zahn's to start with out there on the west side, which was the first time you've been there, right?
First time, yep.
Yep, cool place, good beer. Then we went from there. They went over to Bearded Iris in Germantown, the Sylvan Supply area, and that place is good too. Did you like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, had been there before, had not been to Zahn's, and I'm looking right now on Untapped, and I had their oatmeal stout at Zahn's, and I also had, guess what? I had a pumpkin ale. Getting her done during the holidays, had a pumpkin ale there.
Yeah, they do a lot. They don't do a real lot of things. I mean, but what they do really well. And I think I had two or three new ones that day that I hadn't had. So I enjoyed going there. They got a nice little place. Just cool. And it was a cool hang with Keith and Rachel. And then from there, you and I went over to, and we left there, went to MLRO's, right? We got some burgers. And then went on to Casual Pint later on that day, didn't we?
Casual Pint, not far from where I live in Smyrna, Tennessee, and I'm looking. I had a nice flight there. I had the blueberry lemonade from Honky Tonk Brewing, and I also had a sour pie series cherry from Four Sons Brewing, and the classic of the Blackberry Farms Brewing Farmhouse Ale from there as well. But I also have to mention, going back to Bearded Iris, that I had a couple of good beers there. I had the Easy Tycoon and the punctuation, which landed a 4 for me on the old Untapped list, and I got to tell you that thing was pretty good.
Yeah, was that the high grav one?
Yeah, it was like a 10% stout. Yeah,
We'll save that story for another. We had got kind of a funny story with that, but we'll save that for
we
another time, I
do,
think.
we do. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're looking forward to seeing our fine friends from Dark Shadows Breathing down the line again, and I'm sure we will be catching up with them sometime soon.
We will. I know they're doing Rubies. They're looking at a couple beer fest already for this year, upcoming year. There's a winter beer blast, I think it's called, down in Columbia. I think they're kind of trying to do that. We're going to try to do Brewbies, which is the end of February, somewhere in there. So they're definitely going to be out and about. So we're looking forward to running into them and hanging out with them again.
Definitely, definitely. All right. Yeah. Well, you know what? You and I, we were hanging out on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, yourself, me, some friends, and for some reason, a discussion came up on Christmas Eve between the two of us. Are we gonna have beer in the morning? And my 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 response was a breakfast beer. I don't know. Let me get through some orange juice, some water, some caffeine before I head into the breakfast beer. But then we started asking ourselves, what exactly would be the perfect breakfast beer? What say you?
Well, for me, it'd be the closest one that I could reach. That would start, and then no, but things like, it's funny. We started that as a joke, and the more we started talking about it, the more things made sense that beer could be for breakfast. I actually went and looked on my on tap and just put in the word breakfast as far as beers that I've had. And surprisingly, I've had 23 that would just had breakfast in the name. So so they exist, but it's things like in 23, up to 23, six were Southern Grist. They've got a breakfast bowl series. I had six of those. The other six is KBS, which is from Founders. It's the Kentucky Breakfast Stouts. They have a lot of maple syrup in them. Some of them are French toast stouts. You mentioned this one, oatmeal stouts, right? Oatmeal for
Yep,
breakfast.
had a few of those over the time. Yep.
Absolutely. Then you start thinking, what about like cobblers, like cobbler series? Grist does a whole cobbler series. So I, I think for sure you can have breakfast beers. You get some sweet stouts, that,
Yeah.
maybe not 6 o'clock in the morning, but maybe 10,
I was
on
trying to
vacation.
figure out like if people are out there, I know you brew beer, if others, I was like, I don't eat cereal that much. But if I were to have a breakfast cereal, what would I want in it? And I'm thinking Cocoa Pebbles, peanut butter Captain Crunch. What do you think?
Yeah, well, look, Southern Grist has got that melted snow cone series, and they do a Fruity Pebs version of it. There's your Fruity Pebbles right there. Um, they also do I don't know if it was the one of the cereal bowls, but they do a brown ale blueberry pancake beer.
Yeah.
So you think about this: beer has grain in it.
Yes.
Grain is in cereal. Grain is another thing. So flour, so a lot of the stuff that Grist does and others do, but they put lactose in a lot of their beers, and some of them, some of the ones I've just mentioned, uh, gives it sweet flavor, and it does. It's not bitter, it would lend itself better to a breakfast beer than some other things would. So, I think you're on to something here.
You never know. You never know. We'll start a trend of breakfast beers out there. But you talked about Southern Grist because we did go over there. That was one of our brewery adventures, and we went over to Southern Grist on Christmas Eve
Yep.
day. You and myself and a couple of other friends, and we went over there. And you just mentioned that chocolate covered cherry melted snow cone. I had
Mm-hmm.
that. I had the strawberry upside down cake IPA, which I liked quite a bit. I also had I just went sweet on that day. The German chocolate cake Cobra Kai as well, and then I had the Collide, which is another IPA by Southern Grist, and then also we had we got there and we actually got there. It was around brunch time, and we had I think you and I and a couple others, we had like these patty melts. They were some of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest patty melts I've ever seen, and they were fantastic.
Massive. Half would have been plenty. Like I could have shared one and been fine. Yeah, they've got good food. Or that Louder restaurant that they've got is really good. I remember your flight coming out, and the color diversity on that was impressive. I mean, you had
Yep,
every
gotta
color of the
love the
rainbow
colors
in
when
it.
it comes to flights, right?
I love it. I see that. If you get one, they all come out one color. It's boring, but you get one that's got multiple colors on it. I love seeing that. You just your styles are diverse there when you do that. And and grist is probably the world's best for that
Yep.
because some things are green, some are red, some are yellow. So you probably get more color diversity from there than anywhere else.
Hey, you know me, I like trying a whole lot of different things. And from there, we went over to we also went over to Highwire
Hmm.
over in the Gulch area of Nashville. And I gotta tell you, two of my favorite breweries in Nashville. We go from Southern Grist to Highwire, and how bad of a day can that be, right?
I know we knew it was going to be a short day because those places were closing relatively early. Um, but yeah, and by the way, both of those breweries you just mentioned, Grist and Highway, made our top 10 breweries of the year list that we
Yeah.
did on the last podcast. So we go to the ones that we vote on and that we appreciate and that we love. So those are top 10 for us for sure. But Hirewire was cool. It was pretty empty when we got there to start with, but it filled up a little bit, I think, before we left, but not much. But yeah, great place. And then we came back here and we proceeded to drink some more at the house.
We did,
Chris-
we did. Well,
The
we had yeah.
the home brewery adventures continued.
Yeah. Well, we had a flight at high wire, at least I know I did, and a pint that apparently has made my top 10 list of beers this year. So,
Hmm.
oh, and the other thing we don't have to mention this, but I think we're just going to mention anyway. It's kind of ironic that the last two Titans games we were both at breweries watching the Titans play, and I almost if you're somebody that you feel like you're gonna watch the Tennessee Titans right now, it's almost like you might need alcohol or something because it is. God bless them. It's just kind of rough for them right now.
I think it's a good way to put it. If you have to watch it, you're going to need some alcohol because it's going to be painful.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good time at those breweries, and we're certainly glad that they had us and they were open on Christmas Eve. But hey, man, there's something I want to pick a bone with you about
Okay.
because over time, you and I have had this debate, and I have seen this debate all throughout social media. I've also
Hmm.
had this debate with friends as well. Now, throughout the year, people eat pizza. During the holidays, people eat a lot of pizza. And there's different things you can get on your pizza. But there's one thing I don't understand. Why is there pineapple on pizza?
Why
Explain this
wouldn't
to
you?
me.
Why wouldn't you put pineapple on pizza?
Why would you?
It's fantastic. It's sweet, and you add
Uh,
it to the pizza. The pizza's got some savory stuff on there. The salt and the cheese and stuff. It's a perfect combination of things.
I don't get it. Maybe if
I,
I'm in Hawaii.
I don't know. You all were saying pizza should not have pineapple on it, and you're all wrong.
I don't think I'm
Absolutely,
wrong.
absolutely, it should have it. You don't have to put it on every time, but if you have it on there, I think it's fantastic.
I don't think I'm
Pepperoni
wrong.
and it's baked on there. Oh, it's so good.
And when we're done with this podcast, I want to hear when people are listening to our podcast, We want your feedback. I want to hear what you think should be on a pizza because for me, well, of course, extra cheese is always a good thing.
Hmm.
Any cheese is almost really a good thing. Bacon, pepperoni, sausage, bell peppers, onions, all that kind of thing. But
Pineapple.
pineapple, it just
Yeah.
doesn't seem normal to me.
It's perfectly normal. It's American. When I ordered the pizza on Christmas Eve, I should have got pineapple on it. I kind of missed the boat on that one. Just to,
Yeah, I would have removed it, at least on my slice or on my slices.
I think you got to. I think pineapple belongs on pizza. I think it's a very natural fit. Um, I will agree to disagree. However, maybe you haven't had the right pizza with the right pineapple on it. Maybe.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
here's my question though. If pineapple belongs on a pizza, pineapple is a fruit, right?
hmm.
Then how come you don't get bananas on pizza and apples and oranges and grapes and everything else? I mean, why is it pineapple is acceptable?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Mango. Let's put mango on a pizza.
I'm sure somebody's done it. Mango
Yeah.
freaks. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
have. You have a breakfast beer, maybe some kind of pineapple breakfast beer, and then have a leftover slice of pizza for breakfast as well with pineapple on it.
Yeah.
Hmm? No,
Mm. Mm.
I'm not going to sell you on it, am I?
No. No, my pizza is going to consist of what I just talked about a few minutes ago. When I'm getting a pizza like that, and it could be a thin crust or a thick crust or deep dish or whatever it is. But meat lovers pizza, I can handle vegetarian pizza.
Oof.
But if I see pineapple on my pizza or anchovies, I'm running the other direction.
Have you ever? I don't think I've ever had an anchovy. Have you?
Maybe once by accident. I don't know. Maybe it
Yeah,
was like I bit into a pizza and there was an anchovy there, and I was like, "What is this thing?"
yeah,
And
yeah. I
maybe
don't.
had it. I think it's real salty,
I think that's the thing. Yeah,
anchovies. But yeah,
tiny little fish or something. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Hey, after a few minutes in, how's your beer going, Mike?
It's going good.
Yeah,
How's that one? Is it sticking with you? It's not getting
it's
worse.
so far. Yeah,
Oh, you got
it's
half of
sticking
it's
with me.
gone.
I bet it tastes better than that pineapple on a pizza.
I'm gonna make a pineapple pizza beer next.
Yeah, I know, I know. All right. Well, we the other day we get various things through social media that we see, and there was a publication
Hmm.
by something called Hop Culture, and we're going to rate our beers at the end of this show for 2023. But they rated some of their best beers across the country. It wasn't just local; it was across the country, and there was a local brewery here that made their list.
Hmm. It was Southern Grist, and it was their Transcontinental Crisp as one of their best beers drank in 2023. I think that's cool. I think that was on the list of 23 beers that they had listed, and like you said, all over the country. I'm pretty sure Hop Culture seems to be a pretty respectable, incredible source. I think they're kind of a magazine, kind of online, but they're the same ones that rated Fela Forest as one of the best new breweries in 2023 too. So what I like about them, it's like you said, they actually visit the place. They don't just write about it, take somebody else's word for it. They actually visit the places. They tried the beer, and they made their list of 23 of the best new beers. Excuse me, one of the best beers drank in 2023 by them. So I think that's cool. Grist gets a lot of attention around the country. I think more and more people are hearing about them, rightly so, and that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, and I went on their website to look, and I'm looking right now, and they are not just, as you said, they're going throughout the country.
Hmm.
They're going from like California to Portland, Oregon to Atlanta, and all points in between of different beers. And so really, it looks like they have a pretty diverse recommendations on what they like throughout the country.
Yeah, they're good. I didn't recognize a lot of the brewers again because if they're in different parts of the country you've never heard of, but good for them for going there and trying the beer. A couple were recognizable. Burial made the list of one of them.
I saw
Unfortunately,
that.
Yeah, it's cool. I hadn't had that beer unfortunately yet, but rightly so. They should be on that list every year, as far as I'm concerned, with something. But yeah, it was an impressive list, different styles. Uh, you know, again, 23 of them from all over the place. It sounds like they did their homework on it, which is very respectable.
Yeah, Burial, I know I've had one or two of their beers at least. I would have to look on Untappd to see how many I've had, but I feel like they are a brewery that I need to look into more and have more of their beers because it seems like they have a really good reputation nationwide.
Yeah, they're known for, at least for me, my favorites from them are the double dry hop stuff. Um, it's one of my favorite styles anyway. The problem with them, not just their problem, we can't get it in Tennessee per se. You got to have somebody bring it to you, or you can't even get it shipped here because of the Tennessee laws. But Asheville, North Carolina is where they're from. They've got a tap room in Raleigh, which I've been able to go to a couple times because we have family there. I think they've got a Charlotte location and maybe one other in that area. So they've got an eyeball on Nashville. They know this market they would do well here. The problem is they got to be able to serve the markets that they have already and be able to serve this market as well with the volume that they make. So a couple years ago when the Brewers uh, whatever it's called, the Brewers Association came here. Burial was here. They had some beer. Craft Brew had some of their beer, the Surf Wax and some of the core stuff, but we don't get it here regularly. It takes special occasions, I guess, for us to
Yeah,
get them. Every time I go to Raleigh, I get some. I had some in Columbus because Amy's brother-in-law brought some from Raleigh to Columbus.
yeah.
So, in little sneak peek for our top 10 list, one of those made my top 10 list of beers for 2023. So,
Ah,
we'll get to
a
that
little sneak
later
peek
on.
there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. Good. We look forward to seeing more of those recommendations coming in into the new year. So we talk all the time about Nashville breweries, and if people are say they live in the Nashville area, maybe you're new here because there's a lot of people that have migrated here from other places across the country, maybe even from other countries and things like that as well. Or you're planning a trip to Nashville. We have on our website that you have put together a list of really all the breweries and where they are, kind of scattered throughout the Middle Tennessee area.
Yeah, I've got a list. It's called Nashville. It's actually a page on the website. You can find it pretty easily. It's Nashville area breweries. And to date, in what I consider the Nashville area, kind of Murfreesboro, Franklin as well, even I think I've got Lebanon in there, and then kind of north, Hendersonville, Gallatin, that area. On our website, we've got 65 listed.
Yep.
That counts multiple locations, the ones at the airport, even places like there's a couple cideries, which I put them on the list because they do brew those things. So 65 is when I started putting this list together. I couldn't believe it once I saw it on paper, or once I saw it in front of me. That's a lot. It's Tailgate's got 5 or 6 locations. Again, you count the airport ones too because people drink beer coming and going from Nashville. So there's a lot, and I'm always looking at other people's lists and kind of snooping around and making sure we've got them all covered. I think I'm pretty sure we do. I think we've got them all covered. There's a few more maybe outlying areas that keep popping up on my radar that I kind of keep adding. I marked those in green on our website, but those are the ones kind of outside of the Nashville area, kind of Clarksville, Columbia. Yeah, there's I think Spring Hill. There's another one out there. So that Cookville is another big one, but that's further out. But in the state of it's semi Nashville, but it's a little
Yeah.
too
Well, we'll talk
far out.
about, yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about as we go along in future podcasts, we're going to talk about some of those areas a little bit more for people that are interested in, say, I want to make a trip. Maybe I live here or I'm coming through Nashville and I want to make a trip and maybe some recommendation from guys that have been there. So, two of the areas that we're going to talk about just briefly today, if you say you're coming into Nashville or you're around Nashville, and you want to just hit like the downtown area. There's a couple of breweries downtown that I think we could recommend. Now, one of them is Yeehaw, and they are really part of the entertainment establishment down there now. Where um, if you come to Nashville and you go down on Second Avenue and all that area, and you have the party wagons. I think the party wagon now goes to Yeehaw Brewing. So you could find your way either probably through a party planning bus or just by yourself. But Yeehaw is a great destination. It's really big. They also have a lot of seating outdoors, especially maybe not great, in the January and February area of Nashville. It's kind of cold and
Yeah, and if you're staying downtown, if you're if you're visiting Nashville and you're doing that downtown thing, it's there. It's you can walk to it from anywhere downtown. And like you said, it's huge. They've got the old smoky moonshine
yeah,
stuff in the back. That's its whole separate bar where you can do tastings. I think you used to be able to do a flight of tastings for like $10 and you get $10 credit or something. But the beer is always good. It is on that hop trolley tour that you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
So, you know, 30 people might get off at one time and the place is crowded all the time, which is great for
yeah.
them. I mean, it's huge. It's a great campus. You and I haven't been there in a while. We used to go pretty frequently.
I would imagine it is a very popular destination for the bachelorette parties that
Yeah.
come through Nashville because there's a lot of those. In fact, I think the bachelorette parties, Nashville may rank either first or second next to Vegas in the country for those. And we talked about the party buses. Or also the pedal wagons. You can go around Nashville and see people that actually want to get on a pedal wagon and pedal themselves. And I look at it and I go, maybe that's good for your cardio and maybe that's good for some exercise, but I think I'd rather just walk.
Yeah, I heard something today. I was listening to somebody other's podcast, and they were talking about Yazoo when they moved to Madison. They said he wanted to move far enough away so he couldn't hear the woo girls anymore. So
Yeah.
if that gives you any indication of what goes on down there. But
Yeah.
you're right. It's a great place, and it convenience. If you're downtown, you don't get any closer to a brewery than that
No,
one.
correct. Yeah. In fact, I just not at Yeehaw, but at a different place about a week ago. I had Yeehaw Dunkles, and
Yeah.
I hadn't had that for a while. And the other one over there near downtown is Tennessee Brew Works, a
Hmm.
place that you and I really like. Their beer is good. They don't do a lot of different rotation, I don't think, on their beers. I mean, they do sometimes, but
Hmm.
they have a lot of staples of beers there that are really good. And the other thing that always stands out for me about Tennessee Brew Works, two things. The food is really good,
It is.
and especially again during the 8, 9, 10 months of the year when it is usually warmer in Nashville. They have a balcony, they have an outside patio. It's really great to sit out there and drink beer and really have a good time. I would say the only challenging thing around there is the parking. So if you're down in that area, you may have to find a place to park, whether you're driving or maybe call an Uber or a Lyft and get you down there that way.
Yeah, it is real close to downtown without it kind of really being right in, right on Broadway. But technically, you can walk from downtown to there because you could walk that division bridge. Not that you really want to, but you could. I mean, it leads from downtown right over to um, Tennessee Brew Works, which is right below it. You said it. The food is really good. Beer's always good. You don't necessarily get the woo girls over there, but it's close enough to if you are downtown, you can get to it pretty easily. The upstairs is big too. Inside, they've got some TVs up there for watching games and whatnot. And I don't know what days, but they have live music downstairs too. I don't know if it's during the week or during the weekends or what. So they've got that. Um, yeah, yeah, wonderful spot, wonderful place. Those two are about the only ones in the downtown area I would consider downtown.
Yeah, yeah, real close, real close.
Yeah.
Well,
Hmm.
and then not far from downtown is East Nashville, and we'll wrap up this particular list on this section of the segment today. But there's a lot of different ones. We've told you so many times about the Southern Grist. You can go to this podcast or many others, and we'll boast about them. So they're over in the East Nashville area, Southern Grist. They've got a tap room over there, and they have some food as well, and they do a rotation all the time. Tailgate also over there, and they do a lot of different beers on tap as well. And feel free to add anything on each one of them as I'm going along here.
Yeah, tailgate, and you're going to get to one too Monday night. Not to steal your thunder, but those are we're grouping them in with East Nashville. They're kind of Germantown, but it's just kind of right
Yeah,
across the way. So, but yeah, I'm like you. I just put them in that same kind of category. But yeah, Grist, like you said, one of our favorite places ever
yeah,
that we like to
yeah.
go to all the time. There's
And
another one.
Barrique is on the
Yep.
list. I've
Hmm.
a brewery that I have not been to yet, so I look forward to getting Barrique in 2024.
Yes, we're making. That's one of the first new places we're going to go to is Barrique. You got to go to Barrique.
Yep. Yep, and we've talked about Monday night on other podcasts, but that is over in East Nashville near the Cumberland River. It's in an old a building. It's an old meat packing facility, but it's a great place. They're based out of Atlanta, but they have a lot of beers on tap, and then Bearded Iris. We had talked about them earlier as well because they have a they have a brewery in East Nashville, but also on the west side. And then Crazy Gnome, who we
Oh
had on our
yeah,
podcast not long ago.
our
They
buddy
have a
Grayson. Hmm.
yeah, great place, and they do a lot of different flights and things like that. And a great rotation over there. So, what about the rest of the list after Crazy Gnome, Scott?
Yeah, we've got Living Waters in East Nashville. They're really cool. They make really good beer. They also brew coffee in there at the same
Yeah.
time all day long. So not breakfast beer, but they have coffee for breakfast, and they also make beers. But they're good. They make a lot of beer. I've been a few times. Didn't do any food, but they can a lot of stuff too, which I like. The other one's East Nashville Beer Works over
Yep.
there. Great spot. They got a really nice place, really big. They do food as well. Pizza, I think mostly, maybe some other things, but really nice outdoor area. And one I was just at yesterday, the pregame for the Preds game was one of the spots anyway was Smith and Lentz, which is right down the street
Yeah.
from Crazy Gnome and the old Edley's over there, right on Main Street. So great beer. Again, I mean I say that about everybody in town. Everybody's got good beer, good to
Yeah.
great beer. Oh, the one thing I was going to say was Monday night they're a brewery. They're the only ones that don't actually make anything here. They make everything out of Atlanta and bring it up. But the place is massive, and like you said, they've got 100 beers in the place. They've got a bunch. So they were rumored to possibly have some kind of production here at some point, maybe buy a building, and because that I'm sure that trucking that beer back and forth from Atlanta every day takes its toll. But I'm sure they will at some point. But
Before we ring the bell today for the last call, we are going to rate our top 10 beers of the year from 2023. And this is something as you've mentioned before on previous podcasts, that we love our top 10 lists, and we got them
yep,
here. So we're going to start with you.
okay.
And I believe we're going to start with your number 10 favorite beer of 2023. Is that right?
That is correct. We'll start with number 10 and we'll work our way down to number one or up to number one.
Up to number one.
Up to number one. Now, this is similar to one you mentioned earlier, not the same exact thing, but it's chocolate maple marshmallow Copper Kai. You had a Copper Kai you mentioned earlier
Uh-huh.
by Southern Grist. Surprise, which is like a sweet milk stout. Man, this thing is like 7.8%. We just talked about ABV, so that's kind of high on the higher end of most beers, but
Yeah.
I think it's perfect because if it, this is pretty sweet. The higher ABV for me kind of knocks maybe some of that sweetness down. Um, it's wonderful, and they've got. I had one the other day. We just mentioned it, like the German chocolate cake one.
Uh-huh.
It's part of that same series. So that's number 10 for me. And look, man, anything Southern Grist says it is chocolate maple marshmallow, it is. Whatever it
And I
says
almost
it is,
feel like that they say Cobra Kai. I almost feel like that's a beer that maybe that could derive from the Karate Kid or something.
something like yeah, because even the artwork on the cans
Yeah.
kind of lend itself to that a little bit like
Sure.
that. So that's my number 10. And I'll tell you, everything I've got listed on here as an on tap has at least a 4.0 rating. They get a little
Yeah.
higher. But that one's so good, so sweet. Number 9 for me is it's called Hyfer. I think that's how you say it. Fy or Hyfer. And they do variations of this one, but this is the citrus and mosaic hop. So it's a double IPA. It's from
Okay,
Zool,
yep.
who's out of Knoxville, and these guys remind me a lot of Grist and some of the stuff they do, some of the styles that they do, the fruited stuff. The double IPAs like this one is 8.2%,
Hmm.
juicy, flavorful, not hoppy. This is one I could drink multiple in a row of. It's that good.
And
It,
8.2%, it's gonna get you there. It's gonna be
hmm
pretty good though.
Yes, but beers like this, you don't taste it. You don't taste that high alcohol
Right.
content, which is can be dangerous if you don't realize they're 8.2%. You drink four,
Depending on who
five,
you
six of
are, of
those.
course.
Yeah. So that was number 9. Number 8, and we're sticking local here. It's barrel aged gobsmacked and by New Heights Brewing. It's an American barley wine in a Ross and Squibb barrel. And I had to look up who Ross and Squibb is, but it's a bourbon barrel. They're a distillery. I think they're owned by an MGP, but this one ranks 11.7% ABV. It
Nice.
sat in a bourbon barrel for 9 months. So that's where a lot of that, yeah.
I need one. I
that's,
need one.
that's where a lot of that ABV comes from. But it was boozy and sweet, smells fruity. You do smell the alcohol in the nose, but wonderful. Gobsmacked is a series they do. They do a lot of barrel aged stuff with the Gobsmacked. They do a regular one too. I, you can't go wrong with anything from New Heights. It's gobsmacked. It's fantastic. So strong, but you drink one of those and you're onto something else.
Yeah.
All right, number 7 for me, Bespoke Dreams by Fela Force, another Nashville brewery. This one's a West Coast IPA, 7.4%. And there seems to be a theme with my beers, at least with the ABV of my beers, Steve. They tend to be up there.
I'm kind of noticing that. Yeah. Wonder
Yeah,
why
there's
that is.
something wrong with me, I think. But
Go big or
uh,
go home.
that's it. West Coast, it's kind of similar to at least the way it looks, like the double IPA. Really good. My first line, I'm looking at what I wrote on this on the website, and I wrote, "I want another one of these right now." It's
Yeah.
that good. So
It's
juicy,
really
balanced.
interesting because this brewery I've not been to, and you and I have talked a little bit about IPAs. Like I don't always have the same appreciation, I don't think, for IPAs that you have. I've had some West Coast IPAs that maybe I would not have again, but IPAs and Coast IPAs for a lot of craft beer drinkers is really a passion,
hmm
and I can appreciate, and hopefully in the future I'll have that passion as well.
Yeah, I think when I started drinking craft beer, it was one of the things I said. I don't like hoppy, and now it's my go-to.
Yeah,
So I think it's like anything else. Maybe you find one that you really like, and that's a bridge
sure,
to
it's a
something
balance.
else, into something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my go-to. But anything IPA. But yeah, that one's fantastic. Hope to have another one of those soon, and we'll get you to Fela Force soon too, because you'll
Yeah,
enjoy
looking
that
forward to it.
place.
Yeah.
You'll like it. So number 6 is another New Heights, but this is called Barrel Aged Navel Gazer,
Yeah.
and it's an imperial stout. So it's another series of theirs, and this one was aged for 36 months in a Wheeler's Raid
Wow.
barrel. Yes, whiskey barrel. And Wheeler's Raid is a distillery in Nolensville, Tennessee, which is right down the road, which is right across the street from Mill Creek Brewery, by the way.
Yep.
So really good. This one's 13.18% is what it says.
Woo!
So that 36 months did it some good, man.
Hello.
Yeah, it's you don't drink this every day, and you don't drink more than one of them, but it's great. Special occasion beer, maybe, or
Yeah.
when somebody comes over, you're like, hey, man, most of these, well, at least that one and the New Heights, the other New Heights, they come in the bigger bottles too. It's like the
Hmm.
22-ounce bomber, so you kind of want to share those.
You really do.
Yeah. One day we'll talk about your 120-minute
Oh yeah.
Dogfish Head story. We'll get to that one of these days.
That goes back in the day. All right. Moving
Yeah.
on to number five though.
Number 5, Jackie Blue by Bad Tom Smith Brewing out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And this one's a blueberry ale. All the Untapped said it was a fruited something, but Jack or Bad Tom Smith said it was a blueberry ale, but a lot less ABV than the other ones I just mentioned. This was only 5.5%. But man, I think you had this too that time we were
I did.
there.
Yeah.
It was just creamy and I don't know, the whole place, it was just enough fruit. It wasn't too much. It was the perfect balance. And I couldn't
Yeah.
believe when I put this on the list, but man, it was great. The place is
Yeah. I
great.
remember liking it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when she said, "Hey, you're going to really like this one," she wasn't wrong. And obviously it's number 5 for 2023.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 I've got is called Always Something. And again, no surprise, by Southern Grist.
No surprise there.
And they might not be done quite yet as far as this list goes. But um, this one is 8.3%. It's a New England
Hmm.
double IPA. Uh, it's it's fantastic. It's the coloring is good. It's sweet. It's not. It's a double IPA, but at 8.3%, you're approaching kind of triple, which kind of tends to make them a little sweeter. So another job well done. I don't know if this was seasonal or not. I probably should look that up to see if you can get this again, but um, d- definitely worth getting. And that's, I've got that as a 4 in
Yeah, I don't think I've
Untapped.
had this one yet, but I definitely look forward to getting it sometime in the future.
Yeah, if you see it anywhere, get it because it's well worth getting.
All
All right,
right.
number 3. It's called Profit Maker by Burial. I mentioned Burial earlier.
We did.
Um,
Yeah.
Out of Asheville, North Carolina. This one's a pale ale. Um, the first thing I wrote on this one was this brewery does no wrong, and they're my absolute favorite. And everything they do is fantastic. The fact that I only have, well, this one, and maybe there's another one on the list too, but had to make room for others. But funny, this one's only 5.3%, kind of a lower ABV for me. And
Yeah.
the IBs are 35, but it's just nice. It feels like it tastes like one of those that are in that 7% range, like the other ones I liked. Just
For you,
just
it almost
light.
seems like you're drinking cider or something.
Yeah.
5.5%.
I think sometimes I need to drink more than I want to drink more than one of something, so I have to go in the lower ABV range. But great. And you put Burial in front of me, I could pick it up out of a lineup.
Sure.
So, all right, we're down to the last two. This was a late addition to my list, as in it came in. I had it over Thanksgiving, so I had my list done pretty much, and then I had this over Thanksgiving, and it's called "They Tell You to Live Forever," and it's by Burial as well.
Yep.
It's a New England double IPA. Back up to where's this one? It's right at 8%, so back up in the
Hmm.
ABV. Sweet, not extremely hoppy. They use hops like I don't even know what these are: Lotus, Sabro, Amarillo, Cryo. Um, it's wonderful. And when
Cinco
I
de
had
Mayo.
it, and when I had it, I go, oh yeah, this is going on the list. I didn't know exactly what position at that time, but that was going on the list, and rightly so. It's one that Amy's brother-in-law brought from Raleigh.
Yeah.
Up. I had bought it. And he went swung by and picked it up for me, and we took it up there and enjoyed it. So, all right, that was number 2. All right, number 1 for me for 2023, and I'll tell you, it was kind of a toss up because either of the Burials could have made it, but we're going to go back to Southern Grist. It's one called Free Fall. It's a New England double IPA, 8.1%. I think the texture on this one is what kind of put it over the edge for me. It's just kind of a unique texture,
Yeah.
cream, juicy, not sweet. Again, those types of beers for me in that 7.5 to 8.5 range is perfect ABV wise. So I even wrote on here it's very Burial like in my opinion, even though it's a
Yeah.
Southern Grizzly. It falls kind of in that same category as those. And I do have a certain palate. I mean, the top two are New England double IPAs. So Free Fall for me was the number 1 beer of the year that I had in 2023.
All
So
right.
you have a list as well, sir.
Ta-da, I do, and I have my list in front of me here. And so, again, these are our top 10 beers of 2023, and I'm starting from number 10. And mine is going to be the Lemon Pound Cake from Listerman Brewing. in Cincinnati. I could have had others. There was almost a tie, and I'm like, what do I choose? And I chose this one as number 10. An 11-pound cake, it tastes just like 11-pound cake would.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the real deal. And I remember when we went to Listerman earlier this year, and I had it the previous year, and I was like, I remember this thing, and I'm gonna get it again. I'm glad that they have it still, and I probably, eh, whenever we go back to Listerman, if it's on their list, I will definitely get it again, either on a pint or a flight. So it's a 4.5% blonde. I rated it as a four on Untapped. So it's a really enjoyable beer. Um, so my number nine is the 70K at Against the Grain Brewery in Louisville, Kentucky. And I've really come to like them. They're a really good brewery. Now I purchased a can. I didn't get it at the brewery, but I purchased a can earlier this year. And actually I had it on July the 4th. Now I believe I was
Oh,
at my
nice.
house at the time
Yeah,
because yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say probably a good place to be at 13.1%.
Yeah, it's a 13.1% Imperial Double Stout, and I rated that as a four on Untapped. And I remember being home on the 4th of July as the fireworks were going off. They sure were in my house, boy. And but yeah, I'll get that again. Number eight is going to be something that really hits close to home for me. Had it before, had it again. In fact, you and I had a pint of it on Christmas Eve, and this is the Rye Barrel Aged Ink from Rheingeist Brewery in Cincinnati. Um, Basically, what this has done is it's restored my faith in dark beers because years ago I was like, I wasn't all in on dark beers, and I am again. And Ink is a powerful beer. Again, it's a 13% Imperial Double Stout. It's going to get you there pretty quick,
Hmm.
but you don't want to drink it really quick. So
Yeah, you take your time with that one, and I love what they've
yeah,
done with the Ink series. They've got various versions of it too. Some are different ABVs and some are just different altogether. So
sure.
I love that series.
Yeah, they have a lot of them, and they usually come out with them about once a year at least. And so moving on here, my number seven is going to be the Belgian style wheat beer from Braxton Brewing, and they're in Cincinnati as well. The one in Covington, Kentucky. Really one of my favorite breweries. This was the 6.5% beer. I rated it 4.2 on Untapped, and I really loved the taste of that beer, and hope to get it again. So. The other one here, you're gonna have to give me a moment to look up some information as I'm talking about this, Scott. But you and I, and a couple other friends, we were on Chris. We just talked about this a few minutes ago. On Christmas Eve, we were at Highwire, and it was a Amberana Age Vintage Feeder Ale, is what it was. And our friend Chris had gotten it, and he talked about how great it was. And then you got it, and you talked about how great it was. And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to get it and see how great it is. And it was. It's very interesting. It consists of caramel malt, toasted marshmallows, and orange blossoms. I look forward to having it again. It's a 6.7% sour, and I gave it a 4.25 rating on Untapped. And they say that basically, it's called the spelling of it is Foeder, but it's actually feeder, and so it goes through barrels, is what I read online. And for people that really want to find out more, go online to read it because it's really kind of interesting, the entire process of how they come up with this kind of beer.
Yeah, we had never heard of Amberana before that either. So that
No,
was that was good.
no,
And I know you said you hadn't been Barrique, but that was very I kept saying it over and over, but it was very Barrique like in the
yeah.
way that the sour was and that thing. Yeah, that was excellent.
Yeah, definitely. My number five is the Clawhammer Oktoberfest from Highland Brewing, and this is a 5% beer. We had it on tap, or at least I did, from ML Rose in East Nashville a few months ago during Oktoberfest season. If you've listened to this podcast enough, you know I'm a big Oktoberfest guy, and I rated that as a 4.2 on Untapped. So I'll definitely have that again. My number four, not a big surprise here. Our friends from 16 Lots Brewing, who, by the way, in a couple of weeks, we are going to have on the podcast.
Hmm.
Very excited about this. I think it's going to be a really good show. The Whole Lots of Cherry Cheesecake Smoothie Sour, which was a 6% smoothie. I rated it a 4.25 on Untapped. It's a really, really great tasting beer. I was really impressed. You mentioned the beer before that you love the texture of. This one was one of the more unique texture beers I've ever tasted, and I really liked it quite a bit. So, looking forward to having that again. All right. So moving on to my number three, we've talked about Bearded Iris, and I really love their home style IPA. I think it's great tasting. One of the things I like about it is there's various places besides the brewery you can go. There's a sports bar that we like to go to sometimes, and they have it there. So I love the Bearded Iris. It's a New England IPA. It's crisp. It's smooth tasting. I could drink it all day, and it's a 6% beer, and I gave that a 4.25 rating on Untapped, and I think you like that beer too.
I do. It's a staple in this town, and if you had to pick one beer to represent Nashville beer, that would be the beer.
That's a statement right there. Yeah,
It is.
yeah. All right. My number two. This might surprise people. I don't know. I don't know how surprising this is going to be to your typical craft beer lover, but I am a really, really, really big fan of Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Whenever Oktoberfest season comes around, and I think they start selling it in stores around what, August? I
Hmm.
mean, it seems like it gets earlier and earlier, right?
Too early, yeah.
Yeah,
Way too
yeah.
early.
But I could drink the Oktoberfest from Sam Adams again all the time, and I have. I mean, I've been out, on trips and things like that where here's a 6 pack of Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and that's going to last me a while, and I certainly love it. And if you've never had it before, I would say try it when Oktoberfest season rolls around. I rated this, and I do rate this 4.50 on Untapped, and I can tell you this much right now: unless they change the recipe, they're probably going to come in way high on my ratings each year.
As they should. We've got a buddy, Calvin, at the every kind of as the season ends and the Oktoberfest is getting ready to go away, he'll go find and buy cases of it to last him
Yeah,
through next year until it comes out again. So
I
he
may have to
he,
go knock
he
on his door next time I see him, and
uh-huh.
raid his house. He's got some Oktoberfest there. All
Yep.
right, so my number one. Gee, imagine this. We've talked so much about Southern Grist Brewing, and Southern Grist comes in number one for me as well. And I have raved about this one. This is the peanut butter strawberry jelly hill. And the amazing thing for me is I have never had this untapped at one of their locations. I've only had it in a can a couple of times. And it's amazing to me. I mean, the peanut butter, it's so smooth tasting, and the strawberry, it goes down, and you're just like, I could drink this all day. And I don't say that a lot about some of these specialty type beers, but I'll tell you, if I had a 6 pack, I could have at it for a while. So really love it. I'm hoping to find it again soon because that is my number one, and I'm going to seek it out every time I see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop tomorrow and see if I can't find you some. I know there's some. There was some at Main Street. I'm gonna see if they still got some. But back earlier when I said that everything that Grist puts on their can, as far as the description goes, it is that. That's
Yeah,
the perfect example of it. That peanut butter strawberry jelly, because it tastes exactly like it is, like it
it is.
sounds. Hmm.
Yeah. All right.
And if
Well,
anybody's never had that and think, "Ooh, that's got to be gross," it's not gross.
it's
It's
not gross.
delicious. It
No.
is not
No,
gross.
in fact, you and I were having this conversation along with our friend Michael last night, who's rated, I think, maybe higher than I have. And I said, even if I sat and compared that to Oktoberfest, Sam Adams, I like it even more than Sam Adams Oktoberfest. So why am I not rating it even higher? There might be something wrong with me. I don't know. Maybe I need therapy, but
Well, and they do. So they do this. That's the strawberry jelly. I think they do another variation of the jelly too. I forget what it is, but there's another
yeah.
flavor of jelly too. They do another variation of it too. So, yeah, they do a good job. So
Yeah.
no coincidence or no mistake that both of our number one beers were Southern Grist.
No
I mean,
mistake whatsoever.
yeah, just speaks volumes for what they're doing and how much we love them.
All right. Well, my friend, it looks like it is the last call for alcohol on this podcast. Raise your beer, laddies, because it's time to rate our beers. You go first.
It's also time to get another one because this one's about gone.
That's true.
All right. So this was fantastic. And to put a number on it, I'm going to say, and I tell you, if I'd had this before today, this would have challenged something else on my list.
Yeah.
Probably. It's that good. I'm going to give this a 4.2, which for me is exceptional. Anything past
Yeah.
4 is another level for me, and 4.2 is creeping up towards 5. So
Oh,
this is phenomenal. So 4.2 for me.
all right.
What about you? And be gentle. Be gentle. Because remember, I made that.
You brewed it.
Uh huh.
Tell everybody again what it was because you told me in the beginning and I can't remember.
That's all right. It's a brown ale. I called it a brown caramel English ale. I think it's the proper order for those words, but yes, that's what it is. It didn't get enough caramel in it. I didn't think by grains, but that's a whole other thing. But anyway, proceed.
Well, you sat in your garage and you brewed it, and it probably took you a little bit of time and effort. And so I am gonna rate it a 4 on Untapped.
Woo! All right,
Yeah, buddy.
you rated it higher than I did.
Well, it's the holidays, and I'm being generous. All
I
right, man.
appreciate that. That's awesome.
All
Thank you.
right. Well, we're going to get out of here. We have had fun for this podcast, and we're going to have more fun coming up in 2024. We look forward to it. We wish everybody a happy new year, right?
Hmm. Happy New Year. I will say that we've got one thing scheduled for January 18th, and we got some stuff we're trying to fill in between then. So we'll have more content even before then.
And more shows coming on up. All right. Well, everyone, we appreciate it. Follow us 24/7 at SullivanTuronBreweryAdventures.com. And this has been the Brewery Underground Podcast.
Cheers.